Hello students, today we are going to learn about TCP/IP reference model, techniques used in data communications to transfer the data, and in last, history of computer networks. So TCP/IP reference model. TCP stands for the Transmission Control Protocol and IP stands for Internet Protocol. Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. So protocol suite is the engine for the internet and networks worldwide. TCP/IP either combines several OSI layers into a single layer or does not use certain layers. In this TCP/IP layer, there are 5 layers and each layer contains a protocol. So a set of protocol developed to allow cooperating computers to share different resources across the world. It is also known as a TCP/IP protocol suite. So the different 5 layers of TCP/IP protocols are: the first one is application layer, then transport layer, internet layer, data link layer, and physical network. So let's see this all in details. TCP/IP model is developed prior to the OSI model. So in TCP/IP it have 5 layers and OSI model have 7 layers, which are not equivalent to the TCP/IP model. So in TCP/IP model, the first one is physical host to host network layer, which is equivalent to the 2 layers, data link layer and physical layer. So in TCP/IP layer, protocol defined by the underlying networks, host to host networks. Second one is network or internet layer, in OSI equivalent to the internet layer. So transport layer is for the perfect delivery or reliable delivery to the TCP/IP UDP. Application layer is equivalent to the combined 3 layer, which are application layer, presentation layer and session layer. So they are of OSI model: application, presentation and session layer. So the first 4 layer provides physical standards, network interface, internetworking transport functions, and the upper layer, which is application layer, having few of the protocols which are under in application layer and combined with the application, presentation and session layer of the OSI model. So it is made of the interactive module of each of which provide a different specific functionality. So we can say that TCP/IP model has independent model functionality other than OSI model. Each layer and functionality depends on each other. So TCP/IP contain relatively independent protocol that can be mixed and match up depending on the system requirements. So let's see in the physical layer and data link layer. So TCP doesn't define any specific protocol, but it have support the all standards and property standards. So in second layer, network layer. So network layer is providing the 4 protocols. It supports 4 protocol: IGMP, ICMP, ARP and RARP. ARP stands for the address resolution protocol. RARP stands for the reverse address resolution protocol. ICMP stands for Internet Control Message Protocol and IDMP is Internet Group Message Control Protocol. So next one is transport layer. It gives reliable delivery of the message between different process using these protocols TCP, UDP and SCTP. So in which TCP stands for the transmission control protocol, UDP stands for the user datagram protocol and the other one is SCTP stands for the stream control transmission protocol. Now in network layer, it providing a delivery between the message from source to destination, so it's provide internetwork functionality. And in transport layer, it's provide transport as a functional facility, means delivery between the process using TCP and UDP protocol. So next is application. So application layer in TCP IP model, which is equivalent to the application layer, presentation layer and session layer in the OSI model, in that it supports few of the protocols which are SNMP, DNS, Telnet, FTP, SMTP and HTTP. So let's remember about all layers again. So in application layer, it is the topmost layer of the 4-layer TCP IP model. The application layer is present on the top of the transport layer. So it defines TCP IP application protocols and how host programs interface with transport layer services to use the network. Application layer includes all the higher level protocols, which are domain naming system, HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol, Telnet, SSH File Transfer Protocol, TFTP Trivial File Transfer Protocol, Simple Network Management Protocol, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, X Windows and Remote Desktop Protocols, etc. So the now transport layer. The purpose of the transport layer is give authority to the devices on the source and destination host to transmit the conversation. So the transport layer defines the level of service and status of the connection used when transporting the data or when transmitting the data. The transport layer provides the end-to-end data transfer by delivering data from an application to its remote peer. So the most used transport layer protocol in the transmission control protocol, which provides reliable and or consistent delivery of data. Duplicate data suppression means removes the duplicate data. Congestion means blocking, means jamming of the data. So it controls the traffic, and data flow control. Another transport layer protocol is the user datagram protocol, UDP, which provides connectionless services, unreliable, undependable services and best effort services. So UDP is used by applications that need a fast transport mechanism and can allow the loss of some data. Network layer, which is also known as internet layer. The internet layer is also known as the network layer. So internet layer pack data which are into the data packets known as the IP datagram, which contains source and destination address, which are logical address or IP address information that is used to forward the datagram between host and across the network. So the internet layer is also responsible for the routing of IP datagrams. Internet protocol is the most important protocol in this layer. So it is a connectionless protocol that does not assume consistency from each lower layers. So it not provide reliability, flow control and error recovery. IP provides a routing function that is used to deliver transmitted messages to their destination. It delivers transmitted messages units in an IP network, which are known as IP datagram. For example, Internet Protocol, Internet Control Message Protocol, Internet Group Message Control Protocol, Address Resolution Protocol and Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. Now, Network Interface Layer. Network Access Layer or Network Interface Layer defines details of how data is physically sent through the network, including how bits are electrically or optically signaled or indicated by hardware devices that interface directly with a network medium, such as coaxial cable, optical fiber or twisted pair of copper wire. So the protocols included in network access layer are Ethernet, token ring, FDDI, X.25, frame relay, etc. So the Ethernet technology mainly works with the fiber optic cables that connect devices within a distance of 10 kilometers. A token ring network is a local area network in which all computers are connected in a ring or star topology, and data pass one or more logical tokens from host to host. Only a host that holds the token can send the data, and tokens are released when receipt of the data is confirmed. Fiber Distributed Data Interface (FDDI), which is an optical data communication standard used for long distance networks, provides communication with fiber optic lines up to 200 kilometers. And X.25 is a standard protocol for packet switched data communication in wide area networks. And Frame Relay is a packet switched communication service from local area network to backbone of the network and wide area networks. So it operates at two layers: physical layer and data link layer. Now let's see the difference between OSI and TCP/IP model. So OSI model has 7 layers and TCP/IP has 4 layers. OSI provides layer functioning, so it defines functions all of the layers. And TCP/IP model is based on the protocols. So protocols are not flexible with each other layers. In the OSI model, the transport layer guarantees the delivery of the packets. In TCP/IP model, the transport layer does not guarantee delivery of the packets. Now OSI model follows the horizontal approach, and their TCP/IP it follows a vertical approach. OSI model has separate presentation layer, and TCP/IP does not have the separate presentation layer. OSI is a general model where TCP/IP model cannot be used in any other application. The network layer of the OSI model provides both connection oriented and connection less service. And in network layer, in the TCP/IP model, which provides connection less service, not connection oriented service. OSI model has a problem of fitting the protocol in the model. TCP/IP model does not fit any protocol in there. Protocols are hidden in the OSI model and are easily replaced as the technology changes. But TCP/IP replacing protocol is not that easy. OSI model defines services, interfaces and protocols very clearly and make a clear distinction between them. In TCP/IP, it is not clearly separated its services, interface and protocols. Now let's see about techniques used in data communication to transfer the data. So there are two methods of it. One is connection oriented method and second is connection less method. So first one is connection oriented method. Connection oriented communication includes the steps of setting up a call from one computer to another, transmitting and receiving data, and then releasing the call just like a voice phone call. Means they connected with each other. In telephone, first we call someone, then the person will pick our call and answer. So this connection is connection oriented because first the data is transmitted from the sender side, after that the receiver receives that data and then they reply to the sender. So it requires a session connection to be established before any data can be sent. This method is called a reliable network service. It can guarantee that data will arrive in the same order. So connection oriented services set up virtual links between end system through a network. So network connecting the computers is a packet switched network, so that the data transmission is processed done using packet switched network. Connection oriented communication is done in two ways, without virtual circuits and with virtual circuits. So first one is without virtual circuits. A virtual circuit is a means of transporting data over a packet switched network in such a way that it has a dedicated physical link between the source and destination and systems of this data. So this is what TCP does on the internet. TCP works with the internet protocol, which defines how computers send packets of data to each other. The only two machines on the internet are aware of the connection which is established between the two computers at the endpoints. Means the one machine who sends the data and another machine who receives the data, so they know that where to send the data. Its routes and links have no information about the presence of the connection between the two computers. So this means that all of the packets flowing between the two computers can follow a different routes or different paths. There is a one benefit of establishing the connection is that the flow of packets from the source to the destination can be slowed down if the internet is congested, means jammed, and speeded up when congestion disappears. Another benefit is that the endpoints can anticipate traffic between them and agree to cooperate to ensure the integrity and continuity of the data transfers. This allows the network to be treated as a stream of data, in that the data that is generated continuously by the thousands of data sources which send in the data records simultaneously and in the small size. Now second is with virtual circuit. So this is not used on the internet, but it is used in the other types of networks. For example, the X.25 protocol. So X.25 packet switching networks perform extensive error checking and packet acknowledgement because the services were originally implemented on poor quality telephone connections. The routers within the network route all packets in one connection over the same route. So the advantage is that video and voice traffic is easier to carry because routers can reserve memory space to buffer the transmission. Now connectionless method. Connectionless service is a method of data transmission between two computers in a different network. Connectionless service is also termed as datagram service. This service look alike the postal system, where each letter carries in its source and destination address, and each one of them is routed through a different path. So the source divides the messages into a small packets. These packets known as a datagram. These datagrams are individually pushed into the network. Each datagram may travel in a different path, using a different path. So the network considers each datagram or data packet as an independent entity. For example, no relationship is measured between the packets belonging to the same message. Each datagram carries its source and destination address. So the router uses the destination address to route the datagram to its destination. The packets received at the destination may be received out of the order. So the UDP protocol is a connectionless protocol. The connectionless service is provided by the protocols of both network layer as well as the transport layer. Through its basic function is the same. For example, it routes each packet independently over the network, maybe through a different data paths. Now let's see the difference between connectionless and connection oriented service. So connection oriented services are similar to the telephone system, means they have connection between them. So connectionless services are similar to postal system, where each letter carries its source and destination address, and each one of them is routed through a different path. Second is connection oriented services, which are used in long and steady communication networks. where connectionless services are used in unstable networks. No congestion in connection-oriented service. So congestion is quite possible in the connection-less services. In connection-oriented services, which are highly reliable means dependable, and in connection-less services, no guarantee of reliability means of a dependency. In connection-oriented service, packets follows the same route, where in connection-less services, packets can follow any route. Now, next is the history of computer networks. So here is the timeline of the development of computer networks. So in first is 1962 to 1972 development of packet switching. In the early 1960s, when the telephone network was the world's dominant communication network. So telephone network uses circuit switching to transmit the information from sender to receiver, and it is a choice given that voice is transmitted at a constant rate between sender and receiver. So, three research groups around the world, each unaware of the other's work, began investigating packet switching as a efficient and robust alternative to circuit switching. The first published work on packet switching techniques was that of Leonard Kleinrock, then a graduate who is a graduate student at MIT, using queuing theory. So Kleinrock's works elegantly demonstrated the effectiveness of the packet switching approach for the bursty traffic sources. So in 1969, the first packet switch was installed in UCLA under Kleinrock's supervision, and three additional packet switches were installed shortly at the Stanford Research Institute, UC Santa Barbara, and University of Utah. Now in 1972 to 1980, proprietary networks and internetworking concept developed. So by 1972, ARPANET had grown to approximately 15 nodes and was given its first public demonstration by Robert Kahn. The first host-to-host protocol between ARPANET and ARPANET and systems, known as the Network Control Protocol (NCP), was completed. So with an end-to-end protocol available, applications could now be written. So Ray Tomlinson brought the first email program in 1972. The number of networks was growing with perfect observation. We can see that the time was set for developing an about architecture of connecting networks together. So original work in interconnecting networks, in essence creating a network of networks, was done by Winton Cerf and Robert Kahn. The term interneting was created to describe this work. These architectural principles were in person in TCP. So the early versions of TCP were quite different from today's TCP. The early versions of TCP combined a dependable in sequence delivery of data via the end system retransmission with forwarding functions. In 80 to 90s, a proliferation of networks. So by the end of the 1970s, 200 hosts were connected to the ARPANET. By the end of the 1980s, the number of hosts are connected to the public internet. So looking much like today's internet would reach 100,000. The 1980s would be a time of growth. So this development of ARPANET in early 1980s, the French launched the Minitel project and determined plan to bring the data networking into everyone's home. So sponsored by the French government, the Minitel system consisted of a public packet switch network, Minitel servers, and inexpensive terminals with built-in low-speed modems. In 90s, the internet explosion occurs. The main event of the 1990s was to be the development of the World Wide Web application, which carried the internet into the homes and businesses of millions of people in the worldwide. So the web served as a platform for permitting and deploying hundreds of new applications that we take for granted today, including search, for example Google and Bing, internet commerce, for example Amazon and eBay, and social networks, for example Facebook. Thank you.